In the modern world of ninjas, a new hero has been reborn. His name is Ryu Hayabusa, and this is the tale of Ninja Gaiden. Back in 2004, Tomonobu Itagaki and Team Ninja recreated the Ninja Gaiden franchise from its arcade style to a more hack-and-slash adventure. This adventure, however, takes place right before the events of the original Ninja Gaiden from the arcade. You play as Ryu Hayabusa as he continues his quest to reclaim the Dark Dragon Blade, stolen by the Vigor Empire, and to avenge the slaughtering of his clan. As you progress through this difficult game, you shall come across a variety of enemies who, when defeated, will give you special powers, whether it be for your ninja nimpo tricks like Firewall or Lightning AoEs, health back, or energy to charge your ultimate attacks to assassinate or slice your enemies to bits. This game was noted for being one of the hardest games for the Xbox, as well as one of the great hack and slashes of that era, noting back to games like God of War and Devil May Cry. Not too long after the game's release, it was reworked and re-released as Ninja Gaiden Black, and came out with critical acclaim, as this was noted as the best version to experience this first Ninja Gaiden 1. But this is only part 1 of this tale. Soon we shall see where our ninja heads next. With one game's end begins another story. 4 years after the awesomeness that is Ninja Gaiden 1 and Black, we have Ninja Gaiden 2. Team Ninja decided to step things up this time and take things to the next level with difficulty, weapons, bosses, what name you. We have a new plethora of weapons here, like a great sword, dual-size Eclipse Scythe, Razor Wolverine Claws, the Kusamagari, as well as a few of the other classics from the first game. As for enemies, the game has been littered with armies of enemies this time to keep you on your toes. The problem is, however, that the game's frame rate tends to suffer as a result, with as many enemies as there are on screen. Weapons can only be upgraded this time once per merchant, so you don't have as much choice. So if you want some weapons to upgrade, you better choose the right ones. There's also been a few new Nimpos added as well to change up gameplay. As story-wise, it's kind of similar to the original. This time, another MacGuffin has been stolen from the Hayabusa clan. It's up to Ryu to stop these fiends from unlocking and reviving the greater fiend. So, action, adventure, and more throwaway characters. So if you're up for another adventure, beware, because it doesn't get better from here. As it's after this game's release, or at least right before, the head of Team Ninja, Tomonobu Itagaki, left, and we're left with one more game. Embrace the world of pain. Embrace agony. This is Ninja Gaiden 3. After Tomonobu Itagaki left Team Ninja and Tecmo, they were left to create Ninja Gaiden 3 on their own. And while it still held some of the roots of the series, it took a bunch of left turns to get there. While this may seem to be a more bloodier, darker tone for this story, it sort of loses itself along the way. In March of 2012, Ninja Gaiden 3 was released, and later, a year after that, they released Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge. Starting off with 3, there's a bunch of disappointment that came with this game. For starters, a lot of the weapons that came from 1 and 2 were sadly removed, leaving with only the Eclipse Scythe, the Claws, and the replacement Dragon Sword. The story of the game focused on a lot of morality, in a sense, with Ryu being cursed by the souls of all of those he has killed up to this point. But by the time the story reaches its conclusion, all of that build-up and decisions of whether Ryu's a monster or not doesn't end up mattering to much at all. Not to mention, this was around the time the game decided to focus more on making things more cinematic with tons and tons of quick time events, which ends up making a lot of sections, boss fights, and regular encounters very tedious. Not to mention things like no healing items, no ninpo, except an AoE blast, which will drain if you don't use it. And then there's the curse itself, which will cause you to zoom in for a more cinematic look and making it harder to fight enemies. Razor's Edge successfully fixed some problem. For example, they returned with the upgrade system, which allowed you to gain more techniques, health, weapon abilities. They decided to re-add the enemy and boss health bars, so at least that way you understand how far the boss battles are going instead of having to guess and leave the battles in a sort of bait and wait strategy. They returned with more ninpos, which gave you more variety in battle as well as giving you an edge. They also added more playable characters for you to choose from this time. While you normally would play as Ryu, you also have Ayane, Momiji, and Kasumi join the fray, as well as an unknown ninja which would only be playable in the Shadows of Worlds, who had access to all of Ryu's arsenal. The curse itself has been significantly upgraded, as this time you are transported to the world where you have to fend off waves of all the souls that you have damned in the last two games as this one. So, while Ninja Gaiden 3 has significantly gotten better since the original, it sadly didn't sell as well as 1, 2, or Black, as it's still reviewed as the worst of these trilogy. So sadly, Ninja Gaiden didn't get the swan song it deserved. And then there was the creation of Sigma. In 2006, Tecmo announced that they were developing another remake for Ninja Gaiden 1 and Ninja Gaiden 2, which would be known as Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and Sigma 2. Sigma 1 doesn't really change a lot of things from the original. The main focuses would be on, thanks to the PS3's greater hardware, upgrading the graphics and adding more detailed textures to areas, as well as adding Rachel as a playable character this time around, as compared to her being a non-playable character before, and some more background to certain cutscenes. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 changes things up a little bit more as it removes a lot of the blood and gore from dismembering enemies, as well as adding more characters like Momiji and Ayane and a few others, as well as a missions mode as well. Another thing is they've stripped the game of several of its enemies, leaving areas more open, which makes things easier, but it leaves a lot of things barren, as well as the fact that some bosses were omitted or outright removed entirely for different enemies or just different bosses entirely. Now, while Tomonobu Itagaki, when he was around before the game was released, wanted nothing to do with these remakes for 1 and 2, he did cite, however, that he was happy that at least PlayStation users could at least have the chance to try out Ninja Gaiden for themselves, if they wanted to, which is a win for everyone. Ninja Gaiden is a weird franchise, and a very enjoyable one at that, and bringing it to the modern day with a more hack-and-slash style of adventure really resonated with players, and has opened a whole new world of possibilities for our warrior Ryu. Where does this mean for the future of the franchise, or will it stay dormant? That possibility is uncertain. While it does have a modern collection of the games available today for PS5 and PS4 in the modern collection, it still holds using the Sigmas as the only available ones, as the original files for those games were lost. So Sadly, there's no definitive best way to enjoy this experience. And maybe there never will be at one time, but maybe that's just how it's supposed to be. The path of the ninja is filled with pain, sorrow, and difficulty. But that is just the path that Ryu Hayabusa has been forced to take. And as players, that may just be the path you must take as well in order to become one with the ninja. So, pick up your dragon sword and rush off into your next adventure. And maybe one day, you'll be able to have your own tale to tell as a ninja.